So in a couple of weeks, I'll be playing with this guy called Adrian Crutchfield, American sax player. He'll be coming over to the UK to do a show in London, where I'm based. Now, I've known Adrian since around 2018 or so. I'll put a picture like here. You can see I have a lot longer hair back then. And this picture actually is a photo of me. Hopefully I don't look too tired. I mean, I was younger back then as well, so I don't suffer from an all-nighter, because that's actually what I did for that show. I stayed up the whole night doing charts for the band. So I was MDing the gig back then as well, and yeah, Adrian will be coming over to Europe. So when he comes over to Europe, particularly the UK, he typically asks me to put like a band together. And for that show back in 2018, he sent over all the music, and the band were like, I don't have time to go through and learn all of this stuff. But because Adrian was coming over and doing a lot more European dates, Germany, Spain, France, I can't remember where else he was playing, he actually asked me to put the charts together, because a lot of times when these artists come over, unless they're at the highest levels, there's just not the budget, right, to bring over the full band. So he has a killer band in the US who know his stuff, off by heart, and that's his main band. I remember listening to recordings and it was like Justin Bieber's drummer just shredding over the whole thing. It was mental. But obviously when he comes over to Europe and other places, it's just him as the artist, and then he has a band, of session musicians from that country. But when he does come over, because the music's, there's quite a lot involved in the music, he wanted some charts written out, for those shows, and that's what I used to do a lot of, writing charts and arranging and stuff like that. I don't so much anymore because I'm kind of too busy to be doing that stuff as well, but I used to do quite a lot of that, so it was just funny. I was spending the whole night just writing out these charts in Sibelius, which is like a notation software, for the whole entire band. The charts were probably too detailed as well. I was getting the voicings and the piano, it was mental, all notated out. And in the group messenger chat that we had, you could see I sent a chart at 1 a.m, 2 a.m, 3 a.m, if you look back at the chat. And I was still doing charts in the day, and then I went to the gig in the evening, the show, the first time I met him. It was, my band that I got together kind of thing. And we started playing, and I still kept on writing charts the day of the show. And then we got there and I had no sleep whatsoever, because we were also playing with a female singer, Lindsay Webster. That was also awesome. So I was also doing charts for that as well, because it was a double date. It was Adrian and her, his music and her music. And then we did this joint thing at the end. It was quite fun. But yeah, that whole gig, I basically was doing it on no sleep. And then I took that photo, right? And then just crashed out the next day. I can't really do that anymore. So yeah, for this show, I'm not doing any of the charts. And actually that's the great thing. Now he has his whole, music catalogue charted out, or at least a lot of the charts. And what was funny is he sent me an Instagram message saying, hey, I'm coming back to the UK. Then he sent me an email with all the info. It's here's a Dropbox with all the charts and everything. And I was like, yeah, no, I know, I've already got them. He kind of forgot. So people sometimes ask what's the difference between, just turning up as a musician and playing bass and actually MDing a gig. So MD just stands for musical director, but it's funny because whenever you're asked to, MD a show, most of the stuff you're dealing with isn't really musical. It's more the direction part, and it's actually just more organising, the band, timings. For example, the drummer just dropped out yesterday, so I had to get a new drummer today who has a show on that day, and he has about a half an hour gap to get from the other side of London to the show that I'm doing with Adrian. So it's all that kind of stuff that you have to deal with as an MD, and you kind of need to know the music. Generally, you're like that connection between the artist and the band, so you're like the communicator or the kind of link between the two. So you need to be able to know the music in such depth that you can communicate to the band what the artist wants. That's typically as well what the MD does, but it's going to be a gig where we're just going to show up and start playing. There's no rehearsals or anything. There'll be a sound check. We'll top and tail, maybe. I mean, but sometimes, you know, the sound engineer's late and you go on and you play, and that's it, you know. But how about I share my screen and walk through the charts and everything I've been sent, if you're curious, and then I'll leave you at the end with a video of me playing one of the songs. And before I share my screen, I've left the link below to the tickets if you'd like to come along. We can meet in person, hang out before the show and stuff. And also I've left a couple of other links as well to some upcoming shows if you're kind of based in the UK or around London. So yeah, Adrian sent over an email with a load of info. I won't share that email, of course. And then what I did was write out kind of like just a Google Doc of the set that we're going to be playing. And this is ready for the band. So yeah, the show link to the tickets. Again, you can grab a ticket below. The date, the location, the rough timings. You see, even the arrival hasn't actually been confirmed. Some notes here from Adrian. So he sent over a live recording, which was actually really useful, because sometimes you'll listen to the recording of a song and then sometimes artists play those songs differently live, right? So this is just a recording from Seabreeze Jazz Festival. So a pretty recent recording, which is again really helpful. So yeah, I mean, he announces some of the tunes, but like, for example, there's an intro here. So yeah, there's a whole kind of gospely intro that either I might chart out something. Again, this is his band that know all this stuff off by heart, right? And we're just having to like fill in. But there's quite a lot going on there. So yeah, that might be something that I'll kind of write out for the guys, at least the hits, you know. It doesn't have to be like everything in detail, but just a rough guide, because we are going to be playing to track. We're going to be going through in-ears, like the whole show is put to track as well, which kind of is nice, but also adds a little bit of pressure, because obviously, you know, if you're playing without track, you know, and you miss, I don't know, the chorus, you know, and Adrian, and you know, there's a mistake or something, the band can go with you, but with track, like, you can't really make any mistakes, or if you do make a mistake, you have to quickly adjust, you know. But yeah, this is like a 40-minute recording of the whole entire show. So there are a few things that I spotted that are different to the stuff on Spotify. So I'm just going to have to be aware of that and make notes about that. And then Adrian also said we're going to be playing a couple of extra songs that aren't in the live recording, some Kenny G, Spyro Gyra stuff. And then, yeah, he sent over this Dropbox. So if I share this Dropbox with you here, this is just everything I'll be sent over. So this is like the set list, right? And he's got the form for each song. Again, this is like his typical 45-minute set, but we're going to be doing more than 45 minutes. And then there's some tracks here. These are the charts that I wrote out years ago that he's obviously added in. Here you go. Yeah, so this is an example of a chart that I did years ago. And like, I can see he's kind of like changed a few things obviously since then, because obviously the show develops, right? I mean, that was years ago. And a lot of it is a kind of a mixture of chords and notation. But yeah, this is going to be really useful to listen to some of this stuff. And just an example, I mean, it's just the recording. I haven't actually got any of the tracks, and that's actually what I'm having to ask him before next week. Yeah, it's next Sunday. What we're actually going to be playing to, like, is there going to be, because there was initially keys, right? It was a 4-piece rhythm section, keys, guitar, bass and drums. But again, because he's not coming over and doing multiple dates, he's just doing the one date, right, that we're playing in. we had to get rid of the keys player for that show and just go down to a trio. So the keys and like other synth stuff, percussion probably is going to be on the track. But yeah, there's some stuff in here, but not everything's like charted out. It's kind of a mixture. So me and the guitarist were talking the other day, and I think what we're going to do is we're not going to chart out songs that haven't already got charts, because to be honest, we both don't really have time. He's like full-time on the West End. I'm busy doing stuff. The drummer's busy, you know. So what we're going to have to do is probably write out the form, kind of like this, right? Intro, verse 1, chorus, verse 2. He's kind of written something here. One of the songs is the same chord progression as No Scrubs. So he's kind of just written out the main chord progression, and then this will just be what's on the iPad, right? So that's, I think, probably what I'm going to do. For the ones that I do have charts, I'll probably have the chart, but to be honest, I kind of know some of the songs, or that, you know, when you start playing something, you're like, oh, I remember how this goes, even though it was years ago. So some of them I'll just do off from memory, but I'll probably have my iPad there with the form, because, you know, I mean, it's a lot to ask to memorize a whole hour plus show of original music, mostly original music. So this is probably what I'll do. I'll probably upload that to an app called Fourscore, which I've talked about in previous videos. Is a great app for having set lists and making notation and charts, because what it will allow me to do is, like, if I just brought this kind of thing with the form written out as bullet points, and then say in the sound check he decides to scrap something, or, you know, do a double chorus instead of a chorus, I can just write that in using this app called Fourscore. Alright, so I'll leave you with a clip of me playing one of the songs. It's one of Adrian's songs called Leap. It's a lot of fun. I think we're going to start with it after that intro you just heard. And if you'd like to come to that show or one of the other shows that I'm doing in London, tickets are below. And as always, if you have any questions or anything about what I've covered in this video, I monitor my YouTube comments around every week, so just post them in the comments below. But other than that, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.
since I released an album. But now,